What is going on, everybody? This is Mike from the Last Corvette, and today I'm making part 2.5. I was going to make it last night, but I just couldn't. By the time I got done dropping the tank, cleaning all the tools up, which I do, I can't stand just leaving all my tools all over the place. Everything has to be put away. Got kids to bed, cleaned myself up. I was ready for bed myself. So here I am. It's almost 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. But I'm going to do this really quick to show you guys what I'm ordering for the driver's side and where I'm getting this stuff from. So first of all, it doesn't matter where you live in the US. This here, GMOutletparts.com, is the best website, the cheapest website you're going to find. Cheaper than Amazon, cheaper than eBay or whatever. And you're getting true AC Delco OEM parts. So as I've said before, this here is a sending unit left tank assembly. So this is the fuel pump. The S basically means it comes with the sensor, okay, the level sensor. And if you call any other dealership, even this dealership, so this outlet is actually like 10 to 11 miles from my house, and it's a dealer. It's an actual GMC dealership. And if you call them and you ask and you give them this part number, or you can call any other dealership, they will tell you $584.12 out the door plus tax. Now look at this, $316.89. Huge savings. Obviously, I don't have to pay for shipping. I can just make them drop ship right to the dealer. I still have to pay tax on that, but no shipping. But you save, look how much money you save, man. You save quite a bit, especially on large items, expensive items. So this part number here will work on a 6.0 and the 6.2 and a 7.0. So if you look up your C6 Corvette, a base Corvette, you'll see that this number here, this part number, superseded what they used to have before. Because when it first came out, the C6 was a 6.0, then it became a 6.2. Then your 06 came out, basically kind of right in between there. And at one point they had two part numbers. One fuel pump that covered 6.0 and 6.2, and then you had one separate part number that covered your 7.006. So this here is a superseded 7.0 or a 06 style fuel pump, slightly higher pressure, and that's what I'm getting. It's about 2 weeks out, so there's a back order on it. Now, the second thing that I'm going to get is, I'm going to show you here, is the return pipe left. Okay, now this pipe here is in stock. It's 109.87, 60.97 here online. And this is that vertical piece, female piece with two yellow O-rings that the crossover tube slides into. And normally when you pull them apart, it happened to me, they get stuck. And you work on them, and whatever. And finally, they separate. And in my case, the upper tab broke. So as I've said in my video last night, I believe, some people will drill a small hole. They'll use small zip ties. Why? Why would you go for that motion? I mean, I guess if you want to, sure. But replace everything while you're in it. You definitely don't want to drop this tank again and go through the motions again. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of on your back, freaking smushed up against the vehicle. So while you're in it, do it right. So I'm also getting this return pipe. Okay. On top of that, the fuel pump itself does come with the O-ring that seals the fuel pump to the tank. So that's good. And one other thing that I'm going to get is, let me show you here, are these O-rings. So these O-rings are in the throat of your cross pipe connection, right where this return pipe lives. So you have a, right here it looks black, but it's green and a yellow O-ring. Okay, and there's also a plastic spacer and a sleeve that slides in. I'll show you that in a minute. And kind of retains, basically it's a retainer. It keeps everything from sliding out. It also guides the crossover pipe in its home centerline position. Now, let me back up. I found this on eBay, and the reason I found it on eBay is because I wanted to show you guys the picture. Because on GM Outlet Parts, if you type this part number in, which is a legit part number, you will see that they call it a seal kit, but it doesn't have any pictures. So it's right there. get that as well. Now, the two plastic pieces that I'm about to show you here in a second, they're pretty much, you know, they're not gonna break. If they are broken, you can still get them. You can go online and order them as well. So let me show you how all of this stuff looks. So let me go here. Okay, let me zoom out. So this is actually looking into the fuel tank. This is the fuel tank side. This is this vertical female return pipe that I'm buying. The tab broke on top and the bottom one is still decent. Here are the two O-rings. This is the sleeve, and in between, let me zoom in here. If you see here, this little gap here is actually a very thin spacer in between this O-ring, so the green O-ring and the yellow O-ring. So these plastic pieces normally don't get damaged. This gets damaged, but the O-rings, you know what? Replace them. Like I said, there's an O-ring here, 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 and here. Why just risk it? It's very cheap. The most expensive part is obviously your labor or somebody else's labor and the fuel pump. So these pieces, this retainer and the spacer, I'm going to reuse, but these O-rings, I'm going to reorder and install new ones. And you also want to just put just a tiny thin layer of either a little bit of oil or grease to help slide everything in. Don't put anything in here, just here to kind of help with the crossover tube. There's a basically a big guide piece that slides into the center diameter and then lines up. And that's why it's important to keep this tab vertical center line, because if it's off, you'll never be able to align your cross pipe to your tank, and you're just going to be fighting it, and you're probably going to end up replacing this or doing that whole zip tie trick. But these lines run right to your fuel pump, and you know what? You might as well replace it. It's just, when people do that kind of half-ass shit, it makes no sense. You're already there. You're already, halfway there. Might as well do it right. So that's, kind of a reference point for you guys of if you take this apart, like in my case, everything kind of just fell out. So you got your green O-ring, you got a thin plastic spacer, yellow, and then this retainer with the bevel side or this chamfer down. Okay, one last question that I was asked. What transmission do I have in my C6? I have a 6-speed automatic. I don't have the carryover from the C5 4-speed. And yes, that's the room that you got to work with, which in my case, I think is plenty of room. Is it tight? Absolutely. Are you going to take several attempts, especially when it comes to separating this crossover? Absolutely. But is it doable? Absolutely. Alrighty, guys, I'm going to order all these parts. Today is Wednesday, so either Thursday or Friday, maybe even this weekend, because now I got time. I got to be waiting on the fuel pump and these O-rings. I'll have a chance to clean up the fuel tank. I'm also going to clean up the cavity and just probably scrub down some of the stuff under the belly of the vehicle on the S end anyway. But that's really it in a nutshell. If you want, just leave some comments or questions below, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Have a good night.